Yeah, the bragging rights in Glasgow once again belong to Celtic, but how do Rangers respond from here? Let's get the thoughts of a former Rangers player. Kenny Miller is with me this morning. Well, Kenny, first and foremost, what went wrong for your former side Rangers yesterday?
I think they never put their best performance out there. You never seen the best version of Rangers yesterday. Going into the game, I thought you've got two teams, 9 wins in a row, both of them going into the game on real good form. If you could get the two of them right at the top of their game, we could have had a real spectacle for Scottish football yesterday, and I just felt you never really seen that in Rangers, definitely in the first hour. That did change when Rangers got the goal and got back into the game, but at that point it was a long way back. So yeah, I think when you approach these games, you need your best players to play their best game, and you also need collectively to put your best foot forward, and I just felt for long spells of that Rangers never really showed the best version of themselves.
Do you think that Michael Beale, with hindsight, will regret not starting his January additions, his new signings?
Honestly, I don't think so. I mean, going into it, there was a lot of speculation who would play, who wouldn't play, who was going to be fit. And I think Lundstrom coming back in, for me, I think he adds physicality to that midfield, which if you look at the Raskin, Cantwell and Kamara, it might look a little bit lightweight. And going into this game with the experience that Kamara and Lundstrom have got, I wasn't surprised to see the two of them in midfield. And I think if you're playing that way, it would have been a straight choice between Tillman and Cantwell, to be honest with you, in that more advanced position in the midfield. So I think most Rangers fans would probably have expected Tillman to get the nod in that respect. So I know that the Raskin situation was maybe one where, maybe looking back, maybe Michael will think, maybe I could have threw him in, but listen, I don't think you could argue too much with the team. I just don't think they got a grip of the game early. They never got after it. Celtic were able to dictate the tempo. They were able to have the control, which is what Celtic want. They want to dictate the tempo. They want to have that ball. They want to circulate it about. They want to position themselves in the opposition half, and they want to just constantly put you under pressure. And I think that's pretty much what you've seen in the first half, especially.
7 of the side that started yesterday's defeat also started the 29 League Cup defeat here to Celtic. Is it time for a rebuild, or is that too strong a word?
I think rebuild's way too strong. I think Rangers are a good squad. They've got a lot of strength and depth. You look at their bench yesterday, I mean, you see Kamara Roof sitting in the stand as well. There's good strength and depth there. Michael's got a good squad at his disposal. He'll always look to put his own stamp on it. He's already started that with the 2 additions in January. He'll definitely do it again. I would imagine at least another 3 or 4 will come in the summer that are Michael's players, and there will be people who will move out as well. He's already talked about that the squad needs trimmed. There's too many people there, there's too many players there, which even on a day-to-day situation becomes maybe unmanageable for training. So he'll definitely have not a rebuild. There'll just be a bit of maybe refreshing the squad in the summer, I think. But there's still a Scottish Cup to win. That's the thing for Rangers now. They've lost that cup final since Michaels came in. It's his first defeat. The league was already done, so all focus has to go on getting right back on Saturday against Kilmarnock. Again, get back on this unbeaten run, because you need to be on these unbeaten runs and build towards the Scottish Cup at the end of the season, because I think that becomes paramount now.
I was going to say, how much pressure is now on the Scottish Cup run, given that Celtic have 1 trophy in the cabinet and they're so far clear in the league?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think a lot of people were speaking about this before the game. Cup finals are super important to both teams. You know, it's a chance to win a trophy. But I just had the feeling that maybe Rangers would have wanted a little bit more for that exact reason. The fact that now you're going into the last kind of third of the season, I don't think Rangers fans are going to accept no winning trophies anymore as each season passes. So this Scottish Cup becomes so important that Rangers firstly get to the final, and then when they get there, they're back up retaining that trophy and lifting it at the start of June.
That said, is it fair that Michael Beale gets a little bit of time to reshape, as you mentioned, refresh his group, to build them up again, because this was his first defeat in, 15 games in charge? Yeah,
it's been a really impressive start, to be honest with you, and I think for Michael coming in, his job was to pick the players up, because they didn't look like they were in a great place confidence-wise. They had maybe lost a little bit of belief in what was going on. He's done that for me. I think the big players have, for the most part, performed better. He's talked a lot about maybe not being entirely happy with the level of performances and the consistency in that, but there's definitely been big improvement, and I think the players like your Taverniers, your Kents, your Moreloses, Kamaras, Lundströms, their levels went up since Michael's came in. Listen, it was a tough game yesterday. You know, you're playing against a really good opponent. It's a cup final where everybody knows anything can happen on that day. You need to turn up, and I just think, again, that will be the disappointment thing for Rangers. I don't think they did. But yeah, it's been a good start for Michael. He just needs to continue now. Listen, it's done now. You've got to rebuild. You've got yourself get back on it at home to Kilmarnock on Saturday, and you're building towards the Scottish Cup. It's as simple as that.
Given all that, though, is there a slight concern given how sort of demanding Ange Postecoglou, he spoke after the game yesterday and said, look, I'm not going to set limits on what we can achieve here. I want to see what we can do. Of
course he does, and I think that this Celtic team over the last 10 years or so, they have been relentless in their pursuit for silverware. You know, you've seen that. It's been up to Rangers to halt that, and Michael played his part in that. He went in the league a couple of seasons back as Stephen's assistant, so they need to get this back. I mean, it's competitive. They're two really, really good teams. You know, I don't think there's any like walkovers going on. It's just that the league, it's tough because they need to maintain form, but ultimately it's been pretty much done since Michael came in. So Ange on the other side is going to continue to demand. He's talked about his players' mentality to always be looking for more, always looking to improve, and as a manager he looks that way as well. Listen, it's up to Michael to wrestle next season the league back from Celtic, hopefully finish it off by retaining the Scottish Cup this year.
Can he take some encouragement from that spell in the second half here yesterday when, to a point, they did have Celtic a little bit rattled, which, you know, gives encouragement moving forward that it's possible you can knock Celtic out their stride?
You can, and I think you've seen that in Michael's first Old Firm game at the start of the year there, where at 2-1 up, I couldn't really see any way back for Celtic. Celtic might point to the fact it was a day where they weren't maybe at their best. But this is what football does. Momentum changes with moments in games. When Rangers got that goal, and up until that moment, they had a couple of little half chances. I mean, I think Carter Vickers cutting out a cross in the first half of James Tavernier, where it looked like, I think it was it Tillman or Morelos was at the back post waiting to tap it in. They hit the post from at a really tight angle with Sakala, but they didn't really look like putting Celtic under pressure to get that goal. But when they got the goal, the whole momentum shifted. You know, Celtic going in a little bit protection mode to try and protect the lead to win the cup, and Rangers have got the momentum and they're asking the question, so it can be done. You know, and they've got it in that group of players. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Just finally, Kenny, what is it like in the aftermath of this fixture when you don't win, when you're on the wrong side of it?
Listen, if you're on the losing side of an Old Firm game, at the best of times it's tough, you know, because you know what it means. You know, if it's a league game, you know it's probably going to have a big say in how the league's going to go. When it's a cup final, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, they'll look back, they'll analyse where they need to be better, how they can improve, but ultimately they need to put it to bed, get back to action on Saturday, and like I said, they're building towards, again, can they gain ground in the league? But there's no doubt the Scottish Cup's got to be the main objective for Michael and the team come the end of the season.
Can I appreciate your thoughts here this morning? You're the thoughts of the former Rangers striker Kenny Miller on what we saw in the League Cup final here yesterday. That trophy has gone the way of Celtic. They are the top dogs in the league as well. The Scottish Cup, in many ways, will have to become Rangers' focus now between now and the end of the season.